Welcome to the Knowing Podcast.
Welcome
To the Knowing God Podcast by Hide and Seek Ministries. Great for kids and grown-ups.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 22 of the Knowing God Podcast for kids. My name is Bob.
And I am Erin. And in the last episode, it was titled, Are You Letting the Stickers Stick? And in that episode, we looked at one of our favorite books. And as we read this book, we started talking about how God has made each person different. We all look different, have different talents and looks and opinions, and He has made each one of us different on purpose and for a reason. And He did not make a mistake when He created any single person. He made us just how He wants us to be. And so we started saying, okay, He made us different. Then why is it that we have this tendency as people to want to fit in? And we want to be just like everybody else. We care what everybody thinks about us. And we start to make our decisions. Oh, what is this person going to say about me? Or what are they going to think? And, as we began this discussion and I was talking about it with the kids, it started to remind me of something that just happened with you that we thought was kind of funny. A day or so ago, you were doing this project and...
Yes, I had to do a video project.
You did. You did a video project and you had to, you were asked to answer some questions about yourself. Mm-hmm. And so you made this video, you answered the questions, and then we let the older two kids watch it. And I told you about what Aiden said about the video, and he was kind of shocked because he's like, Mom, Dad was so serious. And so you're not normally a very serious guy. You like to kind of have fun and joke around. So why do you think you were so serious on that video?
Probably because I was thinking about what other people were going to think.
So it really doesn't matter how young or old we are. We all have this tendency of caring what other people think about us. And so as we get in and study the Bible, it actually says that we shouldn't be operating that way.
Well, the Bible actually has quite a bit to say about being different. In Romans 12:2, it says, don't live the way the world lives. In Psalm 1:1, it says we should not follow the advice of the wicked, which the wicked is any person who doesn't follow God. And then in Psalm 4:14, it says don't do as the wicked do. Instead, Ephesians 5:1 says that we should be imitators of God. The Bible says over and over that those who believe in Jesus are called to be different than the rest of the world. But a verse that we want to focus on today is in Hebrews 11:6. It says, and without faith it is impossible to please God. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that He exists and that He rewards those who seek Him.
So the last part of that verse is what we're going to take a closer look at today. God rewards those who seek Him. He rewards them. And a really good example of this is by looking at the life of Daniel.
In the first chapter of the book of Daniel, we learn that the king had a whole bunch of men who were handsome and smart, and they were brought to his palace. The king wanted these guys to be trained to serve the king. Daniel and 3 of his friends were some of those chosen to go through that training. And during that time of training, they were given the king's delicacies, or this special food to eat. The problem with this food was that it had been dedicated to idols. It was like they had blessed the food in a false god's name. And Daniel didn't want anything to do with that. So out of all of these men in the palace, Daniel and his 3 friends chose to be different.
So Daniel asked the man in charge, the official, if he could eat something else, if he could just eat vegetables and water. And this official was afraid he was going to get in trouble because if he let Daniel do that, he wouldn't be following the king's orders.
So Daniel said to the official, "Why don't you test us? Let us only eat the vegetables and water for 10 days, and then see how we look after those 10 days. So the official agreed. And after those 10 days, Daniel and his 3 friends were much healthier looking than all the other men. So with God's help, Daniel and his friends chose to be different and seek God and to do what he said instead of what the world said. And we know the verse in Hebrews says that God is a rewarder of those who seek him. So what was Daniel's reward? Well, right after Daniel made the decision to be different, he hadn't even done anything yet. He had just made the decision. Verse 9 says, God had caused the official to show favor and compassion to Daniel.
Just by Daniel making a choice to be different, God made it so the man in charge, this official, liked Daniel and was friendly to him. What happened after he went ahead and did what he decided to do?
Verse 17 says, to these 4 young men God gave knowledge and understanding of all kinds of literature and learning. And Daniel could understand visions and dreams of all kinds. Okay, in other words, God rewarded them with knowing what they didn't know before. And they knew many things that other people didn't know. He made them smarter and wiser.
So later, we read that the king talked with all the men that went through the training. And the king found Daniel and his friends to be far better than any of the other men. And they were given really good jobs and worked directly for the king.
In fact, the Bible says the king found Daniel and his friends to be 10 times better than all the king's magicians and astrologers. Daniel and his friends made the decision to seek God and be different, and they were rewarded in a big way.
Another time, the king had some dreams that really bothered him, and he wanted to know the meaning of those dreams. He actually wanted the people to tell him what his dreams were and then tell them the meaning. But some of the people who worked for the king couldn't tell him either one of those things. In fact, one man said in chapter 2 in verse 10, no one on earth can tell the king his dream.
And so the king was really mad, and he ordered all his wise men to be killed. Everybody. And that included Daniel and his friends.
So at this point, what should Daniel do? Should he listen to the other men who say it's impossible to know the king's dream and its meaning? Should he give up? Should he run away and try to escape so he's not killed?
Daniel chose to do what was probably the most difficult thing to do as far as having to be brave and trust God. He went to the king's captain, the very person who had already killed some of the wise men and was out to kill him. And he also went to the king himself, and he asked the king to give him more time to find out the meaning of his dream.
And the king agreed. And Daniel immediately went to God and prayed. And the Bible says God revealed the secret to Daniel. And Daniel was able to tell the king what his dream was and what it meant.
Let's hold on for a second. Let's think about how bold he had to be to step out and do that.
Mm-hmm.
They were ordered to kill him. They were ordered to kill him. And instead of running, once again, here's Daniel being different. Instead of running from the people that are trying to kill him, he went to them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
Mm-hmm.
How awesome is that? So let's listen to what Daniel said to the king in the NCV version of the Bible. No wise man, magician, or fortune teller can explain to the king the secret he has asked about. But there is a God in heaven who explains secret things. And then Daniel goes on to explain the dream.
Now, a lot of people would have enjoyed being in Daniel's position. Daniel just did something that no other man was able to do. He was the only one that was able to do this. And a lot of people would have enjoyed that. And they would have liked people to be amazed at what he was able to do. But Daniel was different. He was seeking God.
And he didn't take credit for knowing about the dream. He gave credit to God. And guess what happens next?
I bet Daniel was rewarded.
Verse 48 says, Then the king promoted Daniel and gave him many great gifts. And he made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon and chief administrator over all the wise men of Babylon. Daniel wasn't just one of the wise men working for the king anymore. He was in charge of all the other wise men.
Plus, he received gifts. Plus, he was in charge of a huge city and all the cities around it. Daniel chose to be different. He continued to seek God, and he was rewarded. And he chose to be different even when it wasn't easy.
The same thing happened when Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. The reason he was thrown in with the lions is because he chose to follow God instead of people, and he chose to be different. And when he did, God rewarded him again. After God saved him from the lions, the Bible says Daniel prospered.
Daniel was rewarded again. And so were Daniel's friends after they decided to be different and not bow down to a huge statue like everyone else. They were thrown into a fiery furnace and were rescued by God. And after they were rescued, it says the king promoted them. They received better jobs. They were rewarded for seeking God and being different, just like Daniel was.
God doesn't change, and his word is true. God says he is a rewarder of those who seek him, which means this is true for us today. It's true for us, and it's true for you. When we seek God instead of the things of this world, and we choose to be different in a good way, we choose to follow God and be imitators of him instead of people in this world. God will bless us and reward us with good things. Hebrews 11:6 says we must believe that he exists and believe that he rewards those who seek him.
So in order for us to be able to make that choice to be different, you have to be able to get to a point to where all of your decisions are not made with the thought of, oh, what's someone going to say about me? Mm-hmm. Or what is someone thinking about? What are they going to think about me if I do this? We have to continue to come to God, just like in the last episode when Punchinello was supposed to continue to come to Eli. It was like symbolic for us coming and spending time with God. And we have to know what he says about us and what he thinks about us and care about those things instead of what other people are caring about and saying and thinking. You know, every single name, number, word, everything in the Bible is there for a reason. God wanted it there for a reason. And it is not a coincidence that we read through the book of Daniel and see that every time that he decided to make a stand for God and do something different, do something that nobody else was willing to do, that every time he did that, there's always a sentence right after that that says that he prospered or he was blessed with gifts or something good happened to him. He was rewarded in some way. And every time he made that choice, there's that sentence in the Bible right after that choice. And that's not a coincidence. God really does reward and bless those who seek him and who choose to be different in a good way. He is the same God today. He is a rewarder of those who seek him. We are so glad that you joined us today for this episode. If you have not subscribed to this podcast, we really hope that you do. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio. You can also visit our website, hideandseekministries.com. You can click on podcast while you're there and find free printable worksheets to review what we've talked about today and talked about in all the other episodes of this podcast. And we hope you join us again on the next episode of the Knowing God podcast for kids.
So, what do you think?
What do you think?
Do you think we should start doing videos?
You're too serious in videos.
Just don't let me know the camera's on.
And then we might catch you picking your nose.
Hey! Cut. Edit.
Beep.
You can't beep a booger.
Oh.
Maybe you can, pixelate it or something. I don't know.
You mean on a video?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, not on a podcast. Pixelate a podcast.
Wait, what are we talking about?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Plus, you're listening along and it's going.
You think the music always makes it better?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well,
you can say dumb things.
Well,
the music's playing, and it sounds cool.
Well, maybe we should get your version of the music going and do that again. Let's hear that again. That.
And then you say something dumb and the music's playing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, especially your version. It makes it sound really cool.